Okay, guys, the numbers are in. And the first week of the war with Iran cost us over $11 billion. That is according to a report from the AP. And if you're wondering what $11 billion could get you, here's a breakdown that they put together. For $11.3 billion, you could give everyone on Earth $1.40, or give everybody in the United States $33.12. The United States could produce 4,520 Tomahawk cruise missiles or 174 F-16 fighter jets. It could even fund the national park system for 3.5 years. My question, do you remember when the president, for the second time, campaigned on being America first? Watch this.
It's called America First, and it's going to happen at levels never seen before.
So my question for you, how exactly does all of that add up? I thought you should know.
If you look at just the first 100 hours of the war on Iran, the U.S. spent $3.7 billion. That's more than what most countries spent on their entire militaries in 2024. Gone in 4 days, less than 5% of it approved by Congress. Here's how much a day of war on Iran costs the U.S. The Center for Strategic and International Studies broke down the bill. Item 1. Operations. Keeping more than 200 fighter jets in the air, a fleet of warships at sea, and artillery on the ground. About $196 million. Most of it was already budgeted. The real cost was what this war machine fired. Item 2. Munitions. Over 2,600 guided weapons launched in 100 hours. Missiles, precision bombs, drones. Replacing them cost $3.1 billion. Item 3. Things that broke. 3 F-15 jets destroyed by friendly fire in Kuwait. The bill came in at $359 million. Add it all up, and it's $3.7 billion for 4 days of war. At the beginning of the campaign, the most expensive weapons went first. On day 1, Iranian air defenses could destroy almost anything that got close. So the U.S. struck from a distance with Tomahawk cruise missiles at $3.6 million apiece. By day 4, with Iranian defenses degraded, bombers dropped $80,000 smart bombs. But the most expensive part of this war isn't the bombing, it's stopping what Iran fires back. A Shahed drone costs Iran up to $50,000. Shooting one down can cost 100 times more. In 4 days, Iran launched 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 drones. And they don't necessarily need to hit anything. Every launch depletes the other side's air defense stockpile. Gulf allies helped absorb the blow. They intercepted more than 1,800 missiles and drones. So who pays for all this, and how? Of the $3.7 billion, only $178 million was in the Pentagon's budget. Everything else, no funding source. The Trump administration is running this war on a military credit card, and Congress hasn't seen the bill yet. When it arrives, there are 3 ways to pay. 1, a supplemental spending bill. Trump asks Congress for emergency money, the way George W. Bush did after Iraq and Afghanistan. But every vote on funding becomes a vote on the war. 2, redirect part of the $150 billion from the first Trump reconciliation bill. But that money has already been promised elsewhere. 3, roll it into a future spending bill that may never pass. Today, every day of this war costs close to $1 billion. Some Republicans estimate it may even be double that. And 4 days cost about what it would to rebuild every single school destroyed in Gaza.
The U.S. has lost an estimated $7 billion in the Iran war in just 9 days. $3.7 billion vanished in the first 100 hours alone, and the war has now officially entered its second week. Much of that cost has come from bunker-buster bombs, heavy missiles, and precision munitions, as the U.S. and Israel have struck more than 2,000 targets so far. But for the U.S., one of the most frustrating and costly challenges has been Iran's cheap Shahed drones, each costing roughly $35,000, yet forcing defenders to fire interceptors that can cost around $1 million to $4 million apiece. And when those drones arrive in large waves, intercepting all of them becomes far more difficult, allowing some to break through and strike high-value U.S. assets across the Middle East, including major radar systems in Qatar and Jordan. And this war could drag on for the next 4 to 5 weeks. And if it keeps widening, it could push the region toward an even more dangerous and unpredictable global crisis. Can the U.S. really afford to keep fighting a war that is draining billions in just days? Want to learn map animation? Check the link in bio.
More than $890 million a day. That is how much the war against Iran is costing American taxpayers. That big number comes from the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Now, the Department of Defense is not releasing a whole lot of details or specifics about what it is spending. So what these analysts did was take the actions they know that are going on and compare them to normal congressional estimates. That's how they came up with these numbers. So what do we have? Operations are clocking in at $30 million a day for the air portion of all of this. Naval maneuvers at $15 million a day. Ground operations at $1.6 million. All those explosions, the bombs, missiles, artillery, about $1.5 billion in just the first 100 hours. And those interceptor units to stop Iranian missiles and drones, $1.7 billion in that time. Now, these analysts say it's fully possible those costs will start dropping now, since the start of such a conflict is usually the most expensive time. But we still don't know how long this is going to go on, and if ultimately the Trump administration decides to put boots on the ground. Well, the Penn-Wharton budget model suggests if that were to happen and this went on for 2 months, the cost could be as high as $95 billion.
Of course, from the very beginning, when you have asymmetrical warfare like this, you have a real problem, because the United States has all of the money and the big weapons, but a place like Iran has lots of weapons, but they're much cheaper. For example, they are firing hundreds and they have thousands of these Iranian drones that cost them between $20,000 and $50,000 a piece to make. They have been the leaders in making those cheap drones. It costs us somewhere between $2 and $5 million each for, say, Patriot interceptors, or the THAAD interceptor to cost as much as $10 million each. So you can do the math and see that $2 million to shoot down a $20,000 drone, the math is very much against the United States in a situation like that. At the end of the first week, you're talking about several $billion worth.